Here we are.
We're live.
We're live. We are live. We've tweaked our setup a little bit. Matt is a YouTube streamer extraordinaire, so we got a couple cool little features we threw in. Nothing fancy. This isn't
Just be able to show the bracket live and some other, maybe some other things for other live videos, but you'll be able to see the bracket as we're filling it out, so you'll be able to look back at the matchups and not just listen to our words.
Yeah, and that helps.
You can mute us and just watch.
Yeah, let's test it out. So, 3, 2. Hey!
I got scared for a second.
Go away. So, Matt, what are we going to be doing here today? Sorry for clapping right at the camera.
No, that's okay. Well, we are reaching the end of our worst thing of all time bracket. We need a new one. And what better way to follow up on the worst things than things that bring us joy, make us laugh, and that's like picking the funniest person of all time. I know this has been one you've wanted to do for a long time and get to do this bracket because you're a comedy head, as they call themselves. I'm pretty sure. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of a comedy nerd. Growing up when most kids were watching, the cartoons and stuff, I was, watching Wayne's World and Ace Ventura and stuff like that. I think having the older brother helped because he kind of paved the way. And yeah, I just loved stand-up and Saturday Night Live and funny movies from as long as I can remember. And I think one important thing to note is we're in our mid-30s. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the maybe brand new stuff like we talked about before we went live here, if there's like a super popular like YouTuber that people find really funny or like streamer, content creator, probably not going to make it. Or sadly enough, if there's someone from like way eons ago, back in like the 50s and 60s, they might not make it either. That's not to say, that they shouldn't be on here. It's just like, I know what I know, Matt knows what he knows, and
yeah,
I don't have a degree in this stuff. I just like it.
You're picking the funniest person for us. Mm-hmm. That you like. We're not getting representation from all the different eras of comedy. I'm not looking back at like who was funny in the Roaring '20s and who was making good Great Depression jokes.
Yeah,
they ain't gonna be on there. I don't think.
Charlie Chaplin probably not gonna be on this.
Oh yeah,
he might be.
Not, yeah, good slapstick.
Yeah,
kind of paved the way, but I don't care.
Yeah. So, do you want to go down, go over any ground rules, or should we just get right into this thing?
Well, as you kind of talked about the other things, just in terms of like people that may or may not make it, this also isn't like purely like stand-up comedians. In terms of like funniest person of all time, like I think initially you'll think of like somebody who's a performer, either like a comedic actor or stand-up comedian. But I think a lot of some of our favorite comedy is like written by people that or just like comedic writing and then maybe performed by somebody else or kind of performed as like a group and things like that. Like obviously Saturday Night Live is like ensemble cast, but some of the people are also like writers and maybe didn't perform all of their best stuff. I think you described it as picking the best comedic minds.
Comedic minds, yeah.
So that's, what we're kind of also looking out for. So it won't just be performers. And in the ground rules, we're going to figure out who's, going to draft an order. We're going to pick from 1 to 16. We're going to go region by region, do our 1s, our 2s, our 3s, all the way down the line. So we have a 64-person bracket filled out. We're going to alternate back and forth. Either Chris will go first or I'll go first, and then we'll bounce back and forth. We'll try and keep our picks short and not go into long explanations, but if you have ever listened to anything I talk about, that's basically impossible. If you join us live at any point and you want to chat and make some recommendations, we'll read them. We'll mock you for your recommendation of who should be on here. We will certainly not choose it because you have it just inconvenienced us.
Yeah.
by reading your words.
Yeah, and we don't stop for anything. If you want to come in, leave a chat. We don't care. Okay, so I think it would only be fair since I got the first pick for our last bracket, which was worst things.
You did? Yeah.
I think for the funniest person bracket, the honor should go to you to decide the first overall pick. And I can, like I said, I can pull up the bracket here.
Yeah.
So we can see.
You don't need to see my face.
Yeah.
We could shrink it a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
We can do a little bit of that.
Well, I would say that this first pick is going to be a little subjective, but it is somebody that I think would be in and around like a 1 seed. It's kind of the defining comedic influence in my life growing up. I have to have Jim Carrey on here, and I'm going to put Jim Carrey as a 1.
Carrey.
Just going to do it.
I think that is a fantastic pick. If you hadn't picked him in the first round, I sure as hell would have in the first or second round. So we got Jim Carrey. It's on me. Okay, so for my first overall pick, I'm going to go with the guy who got me into comedy most of all, or at least got me like hooked on it, made me a comedy fan for life. I'm going Chris Farley.
Okay. Nice.
I think with his Saturday Night Live run and his movie runs, he's just the best. So.
All right, well, it's already getting tough for me. Just like I feel like I'm not. There are the picks that I think people would expect from a list. Like these are the ones and these are the tops. And there are people that are like, oh, they're good, but is Matt giving them too much credit? And then the people that are like, this should not sniff a 1. And it's like, well, at what point, if I'm going to pick these guys are good, but they shouldn't be a 1s, well, why don't I just go all balls out and screw things over? I'm going to go with somebody that I think is currently one of the best comics and still one of the most consistent comics. He's on a lot of things. It just, his quantity and output is amazing, but his quality is still amazing. And he's always been really funny, really talented. And this is, not somebody you'd expect as a 1 because they don't have that legacy, but I think they will. I'm going to put Bill Burr as a 1 seed for me. And I have no other way of justifying it other than all the things I just said.
That's fantastic. Burr's hilarious. Usually, from stand-up to, he's been in a ton of movies, that you would, or shows, he's been in a ton of stuff. But I always enjoyed when he would go on Conan. Mm-hmm. I feel like him and Conan had the best rapport and they just riffed off one another so well. But yeah, Bill Burr is a 1 seed. I am not mad at that. Oh man, this is tough. This is really, really tough for me because there's I'm gonna do it. For my final number 1 pick, I'm going to go with Trey Parker / Matt Stone.
I think that's fair.
They're a tandem. So if I gotta go with 1, I will, I'll just go Trey Parker because he's the quarterback.
Parker Stone.
Matt Stone. Yeah. I love those guys so much. so much. So this is where it got tough. Because putting this person at a number 2 for me, it kind of kills me to see this person drop to a 2 seed, but nonetheless, Dave Chappelle.
Oh, I was gonna take him next as a 2. I think definitely deserving. Shoot,
Dave Chappelle's at a 2.
All right. Yeah, Dave Chappelle's a good choice there. Man, I wish I could have picked him because it would have made my next 2 easier. I'm gonna stick along that line here, and go somebody that I think on a lot of people's would be a 1 seed, but we went with a little bit more subjective for our 1s. Guys that could have been 1s, but we maybe wouldn't be the public, consensus of what a 1 seed is, but definitely a lot of people's personal favorites. I'm gonna have Eddie Murphy here as another legendary. This is a guy that everybody recognizes as one of the top comedians of all time.
Yeah. I always botch the last name. Do I have it spelled right? Murphy?
Yeah, looks good to me.
I never know because we had the same thing with Bill Murray. It doesn't end in Y, it ends in AY. Yeah. And I wasn't sure if it was Eddie Murphy or Eddie Murphy.
Ooh.
Okay. Let me remove Murphy off my list. That was a pretty darn good pick there.
Pretty darn good pick, Matthew. All right.
Okay. Now, for my next pick, for my next trick, I want to put this guy up this high because to me he is, but I wouldn't be able to handle if this high of a seed got knocked out so early. So I'm going to save this person.
Okay.
Probably for a 3 seed.
Okay.
But for your, I'm going Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh.
Probably
okay.
the richest comedian of all time. You know, from the show to just the what's the deal with airline food?
Yeah, he almost sort of paved the way for like the stereotypical comedian setup. Just like, what about this? Can you believe that? And like everybody kind of impersonates that as like that's how you get into a joke. Like you just say something you're exasperated by, and now you got to explain why you find it so frustrating.
Right. And I liked. Did you ever watch comedians in cars getting coffee?
A little bit, but not much.
Yeah. It was good. You just have on really good comics, and they would go for a ride in cars. They love cars, and he loves coffee, so they go get coffee. It's like the most chill, laid back. It was kind of like kind of podcasty, but kind of talk showy too. So
yeah. So I've got another 2, and then I've got a 3. Oh, I'm in like such weird territory. I honestly hate picking the top like 4 seeds, like the 1s through 4s, more than anything else, because I have my own personal favorites, and a good chunk of them are like considered in that top tier, but usually aren't. Like, it just feels bad because like when you look up a list, it's like, who are the top guys of all time, and you see these guys, but like they're not contemporaries of mine. I didn't grow up watching them, and I've seen their stuff, and they are funny, but like they just didn't do it for me, because when I saw them for the first time, I was a very young kid. And then as I grew up, there were guys that became modern, and I was like, oh, I like these guys because they're closer to my age. They're talking about stuff I know and like used to. So like, man, it's hard to be like, yeah, Richard Pryor is one of my favorites, or Robin Williams, even though they're always on there. So I'm not gonna pick them. I'm just not gonna do it. I think, man, this is probably too high for him. I'm gonna pick Steve Carell here.
Steve Carell. Okay.
I think he does it all really well. I think he's got a lot of comedic range.
Yeah.
And I think everybody has liked him or knows him from something in comedy. A lot of people maybe haven't ever seen anything by Richard Pryor. A lot of people maybe, I don't know about Robin Williams, but even some of the major comics and things like that, I think people may have never seen. But Steve Carell has been in so much popular stuff that you know his stuff, and everybody likes him, I feel like.
Yeah.
All right. My number 3 is going to get even weirder. This is
really Carell?
Yes, by far weirder. I almost put him at a 2 because he's very well regarded. I love his jokes and his writing, but I don't care for his delivery. It's actually a turnoff for me, but for a lot of people, it's what makes it.
Okay.
But he's like one of all-time great joke writer, and it's Mitch Hedberg.
Okay.
And I just don't care for his like stonery, like deadbeat delivery, but his jokes are so clever and such great observational stuff. Nice. So I'm gonna put him on here, but I actually don't really like him that much.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. I'm gonna go. I think I know my next 3 picks. I think I know them. I think I got them locked down unless you take one. I'm gonna go one for me here.
Yeah. One for the Chris.
This is the one that I said I was gonna draft as a 2 seed.
Oh.
Number 3 seed. I'm going with Norm Macdonald.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be somebody else, but yeah.
And he's just the best. And I was so sad to see him go. And I'll talk more about him when we do the breakdowns. Hopefully, he makes it out of the first round. Whoever you pick as your 14 in this region, please don't have him knock out with Norm Macdonald.
I'll make sure it's somebody really bad. You know I have some bad ones lined up. Down the line.
This is the part where you put like Kristen Wiig or Amy Poehler in there, or like Amy Schumer.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying.
Against Norm or as my next 3 seed?
Against Norm.
Okay, yeah.
Someone
for
that's
sure. For sure. Gotcha. My next 3 seed. I think I'm gonna do it. I don't remember what seed he was in the best actor bracket. Was he a 4? Was he a 3?
Who? You gotta say it. I remember.
You know who?
Same region too.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna pick Robin Williams here as a 3. He's much better as a funny person than a comedian. How he made it to the final 4 of our Best Actor thing, I'm still surprised. I know you were livid about it.
Yeah.
Was he a 3 or was he a 4?
That's a good
Because
question.
I think he was he was like a 13 or a 14.
Was he?
Because wasn't Keaton? No. Keaton was like the 13 or 14.
Yeah, he was higher seated than Keaton.
Yeah, but we were hoping Keaton. I think he was a 4 actually instead of a 3. But
okay.
He's a better comedian than he is an actor, so he deserves the slight bump, I think.
Okay. Well,
sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay. I respect Robin Williams.
Clean comic.
Truly, clean comic. Clean comic.
Super clean.
I think he was really talented. I just think he just got way blown out of proportion after he passed. It was very sad, but we'll talk about it more because he's gonna go far. I know he's gonna go far.
Yeah.
Good for him. So I'm gonna stack my picks around him and try to pick him off.
Yeah.
I think I know.
Try to pick him off too.
I think I know who I'm gonna have him go against in the first round.
Oh.
Okay, so for my next pick, I can't let this guy drop any farther. So this is kind of, I'm just gonna go Adam Sandler.
That's what I thought you meant for the 2, but
okay.
you were worried that he would lose too early.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe Chris isn't going Sandler because Sandler's very popular.
Yeah, Sandler has just been consistent for over 30 years now, and I feel like there was that period of time, maybe like mid 2000s to mid 2010s, where it became like cool to hate.
Got a lot of
Sandler.
hate, yeah.
And he made silly, wacky comedies, but then somewhere along the lines, maybe it was with a couple of his dramatic roles, it just seems like the whole perspective on Sandler shifted, and now everyone's kind of back to loving him. And I just think he's one of the few that does it all. Like, he's a great writer, big time movie star. Stand up is quality. He's good at music.
Does musical comedy, which is its own,
Yeah, so he just kind of does all facets, and you never hear a bad word about him. No controversy from him. I just think he's all around good dude. Okay, so here's where I have a feeling this one's gonna get knocked off pretty early. But being the comedy See You Next Tuesday that I am, I gotta give it up for one of the greatest comics of all time, who, like, I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts, like guys like, like Rogan, whatever, but like Shane Gillis, Mark Norman, Joe List, Sam Morril, all these like New York comics that came up, they all hold this one person in high regard as like the greatest to ever do it. And I've checked out a lot of his material, and I agree he's awesome, but I haven't watched enough of his stuff. I've never seen him live. You actually mentioned him before we got going. Dave Attell.
Okay, yeah.
Dave Attell is, without a doubt, one of the best comics of all time. Never really branched out of comedy. Doesn't do a whole lot of like social media. He doesn't really try. His name. Is enough.
Haven't seen a lot of his stuff either. I remember there was a show on Comedy Central, either Insomnia or Insomniac with Dave Attell, and he was just like, I remember like the opening intro. I don't know if the show is actually this or if it was just his stand-up bits, but I felt like he was like out on the streets just like talking to people. But maybe that was just like what the intro video looked like.
Yeah, I remember the show. I didn't watch a lot of the show. I was always in bed before that because I was young.
Yeah.
But it's hard to recreate Attell bits. He just, like, his crowd work is off the charts, and he just never misses a beat. Like, there was one, I was listening to this podcast. They were doing this like special podcast for Mark Norman. He got married, and they were doing like a bachelor party episode for the podcast. So it was all kind of crazy, out of control. And the other guy in the podcast, Sam Morril, was trying to get Dave Attell to come and be a special guest because he's like he's like a god to all these guys. So, anyways, Attell shows up, but he shows up late, and he just like looked around and just like without missing a beat, he goes, what did he say? He goes, yeah, hey guys, I'm here. Nothing says I'm late, like balloons on the floor. And then he like keeps on going, but I'm like, that is so funny. Like just nothing says I'm late. Like balloons on the floor, and sure enough, there were like balloons on the floor, and just like how do you like come up with something that quick? Because you've ever been late to like a birthday party,
Right.
like all the balloons are on the floor. It's
Right.
like wow, that's so clever. I've never heard that before. Sorry.
No worries. That was your first 4, right?
That was my first 4. So
Okay.
it's wait, nope, I put it in the wrong spot. This is the Jim Carrey region. So let me go up there and remove. Nope.
You don't have to remove him. I was gonna pick him again. I'm just gonna pick him twice. I'm gonna go British here.
All right.
I'm gonna go Ricky Gervais.
Sweet.
He is pretty funny, and I will say that like, I know it was in some ways it was for people maybe uncomfortable, or even maybe people would be like, it kind of made me cringe, like when he would host like the award shows and just like rip into people and make fun of it, but I loved it. That's kind of the comedy that sometimes is needed to just be like, this is such a wank fest.
Yeah.
Like what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And just like insult these people that think they're untouchable.
Yeah.
It's great.
Oh yeah, that classic. What was that? The Emmys, the Oscars?
It was one, it was like Emmys or Oscars. It's just like that. There's a famous like Tom Hanks just like reacting to one of his jokes. Like yeah, it's just to have the courage and confidence and also DGAF to go in and do that when like, and he's not been hired back because all these award shows when they host people are like, you gotta keep it, like you gotta fall in line, and that's not what comedy is about. Like getting hired and like, hey, you're gonna host this thing, we want you to be funny, but fall in line, don't do touch on this, like that's BS. So I respect him a lot, and anybody that would do that, be like, no, I'm gonna do the comedy I'm gonna do.
100%. And he's just like drinking throughout it. He's talking about Epstein. He's like, don't boo me, you're all his friends. And it's like, good lord. Oh man. Okay, so it's on me for number 4. Over here in the Bill Burr region. Let's see, am I sensing a theme here in Bill Burr? 3 out of 3 comics, like comedians, stand-up. So I'm inclined to put a comedian here, a stand-up comedian. I don't know. I do see someone who would fit quite nicely here, but I'm going to take it in a different direction. I think it's time that I put a big old sketch comedy movie star guy. We all know him. We're all familiar with him. I'm going to go Will Ferrell.
Cross mom, yeah, there
we go. Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah,
I'm surprised he fell to a 4. He's funny.
Yeah, I think so many people would have like one of their favorite comedy movies be a Will Ferrell movie. I would be, if you got 10 people in a room, I'd be surprised if more than half did not list like a Will Ferrell movie as one of their favorite comedies of all time.
Right.
So like that's saying something.
Old school Anchorman, Step Brothers, they just the list goes on.
For sure. All right, my last 4, and then hopping into a 5. I've got some thoughts here. I don't know. Like seeds don't really matter. Optics, whatever. I was gonna have these people eye anyway, but all right. I am going to put. I love her, and I think she is just like, for a long time was one of the funniest Saturday Night Live cast members. Just period. I think she's really funny in all the other stuff I've seen. And Kate McKinnon, I think, is like just a top funny person. In the way that like certain more comedic actors are. They just like perform and make you laugh by their commitment to a bit or a character. I think she's so good at that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hop over into a number 5, and I'm going to get another just like really funny person, but not in like a character way, but as like a himself way.
Okay.
He's so comfortable with who he is in himself. He can be self-deprecating because of certain things that would be perceived as flaws, like not as manly. But Kevin Hart.
Okay.
There was like, as he was like rising up and getting really popular, I don't know if he got like the same hate as like Adam Sandler at any point. I kind of thought like, I kind of was like tired of him for a while, and I was like, Kevin Hart, all this Kevin Hart, I can't stop seeing Kevin Hart. It's like, he's not that great, but he is really funny, and once that kind of like, I'm seeing him everywhere died down, I could kind of like respect him for like, and you know, recognize him for how like talented and like how funny he actually was. And when I wasn't bitter and just like, why am I only seeing him? Why does he seem like he's the only funny person right now doing anything?
Yeah. Yeah.
See?
And did you ever see the one video where him and The Rock interview each other as each other? It's pretty funny.
Was that the one also with Jack Black or no?
So there's the one with Jack Black.
I didn't see that one, I don't think, but I remember you telling me about the one with The Rock and Jack Black for Jumanji. And I think we included it in a video, the little clip of that when we were talking about probably Jumanji. That must have been in the bracket for best something. What bracket was that? It must have been it was a wrestler. I think it was just a wrestler bracket. We were talking about The Rock.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I believe that.
Because I don't think Kevin Hart or Jack Black have been in any of other brackets.
No. It wasn't a movie. Yeah, it was probably.
Must have been.
Cool. All right, so I'm on number 5 here, and
all bets are off at this point. Any picks for here from me, I might get big names and I might not. This is where it gets wild.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Here's where maybe it's like maybe it's out of left field, but maybe not. I gotta put Larry David down on here. I've been just totally riding the Curb wave recently, and it, like I was telling Matt, I didn't watch a whole lot of it up until a month ago, and I've just been watching a ton of it. Like every time I throw something on, it's Curb, and my God, is that show fun.
All right. I know for a while this was the stand-up bracket, and then we got Will Ferrell on here, so I don't necessarily have to keep this as a stand-up bracket, but I was kind of leaning that way with a pick. But which one? I think I'm going to pick a stand-up comic. I'm not sure which one, because there's 2 that I really like that are, you know, kind of a couple of my all-time favorites, and they both do different comedy. They both also do different comedy. Well, I would say one's kind of similar to Burr. So I'm going to go with the one that's more different. I'm going to go with Zach Galifianakis.
All right.
Good luck spelling it. I think I have it spelled and written right on mine, so I can tell you.
Yeah, let's do it. Zack?
I believe he's CH.
CH?
Actually.
Okay.
And then GALIFIANAKIS. I think that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll see it and be so honored and respected by my spelling his name right that he'll just say hi, what's up.
Yeah, and a lot of these comics that we're going to end up getting on here are live today, tweeting, so hopefully we can tag them and catch a retweet on there, or a repost on X. It's hard to...
X.
It's all new, it's hard to...
I can't believe they changed... I can't believe they named it after DMX.
I know.
Did he pass, or is he still alive?
No, he passed.
I thought so.
He barked his last bark.
That wasn't that long ago? Within the last 6 years, or longer?
I would say within the last 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was fairly recent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very sad. Very, very sad. Okay, now it's time. Let's go on down. I got a 5 and a 6 here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You got Hedberg, so let me take them off my little list here.
Little list.
Yeah, a couple big names that I'm kind of saving for what I don't know, but I want to get some of my favorites on here. So with this number 5 seed, I'm gonna go Pryor.
Okay.
Richard Pryor.
I wasn't sure if you'd make it, honestly, after we passed over him early on. I know, like, it's one of those we've talked about before. Like, if we're not picking something that gets like big respect, like, and normally is like a top seed, should we just pick it at all? Because then people, you know, it's one thing to be mad that we left him off and go, it's a personal thing, we don't like him. But we've thrown him on there, and now you're like, you got the seeding way wrong. This thing means jack all to anybody. So it's like, do you pick him anymore, or do you just leave him off? But I think it's good.
Yeah, well, I think a good thing that we do that just kind of happened by default is when I post the bracket, I don't post the full thing, usually just because it's too hard to read, so I'll post it region by region. So someone's like, hey, where's Pryor? Be like, oh, he's in a different region. And then by the time I get around to like releasing that region, people have forgotten and it's no longer a big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I Pryor, I think I've only seen like one of his specials. Not the biggest Pryor fan just because I haven't seen a lot of stuff, but just how highly regarded he is in comedy. One of the best stand-up comedians of all time, and he's got a wild story. So
sure.
I'm gonna move on down.
I'm worried I'm gonna miss out on some of my favorites. This is getting sad and scary. I'm just
I
gonna start
know.
crossing people off.
Yeah. I know. When you mix in comedic actors with comedians, like stand-up comedians, it gets real tight. But if we did one bracket for each, then it would get...
I mean, person is fine, for sure. I thought I was gonna be lower on number of people that I had that I really like, but I'm doing the thing where I start pulling, like, weird, sort of genre-bending things that aren't what you think traditionally when you think of, like, first thing that comes to mind for funniest person go, and you're like, oh, a stand-up comedian or a funny actor, like trying to get some other things in here, but then that's taking away from really funny people that I really like.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So for my number 6 here, I was gonna save him because I think he would have had a pretty good chance of knocking out Robin Williams in the first round.
Oh, okay.
Because he's just as likable, but the only thing he doesn't have going for him is he's still alive. But funnier in my opinion. I can't let him fall any lower. I'm going Jack Black.
That would have been a good, like, at least second round matchup, I think. That would be interesting to see.
Yeah. Super likable. Everybody likes Jack Black. I could see him doing well. We're going with number 6.
Who's the 3? Norm. So you're like, don't pick the good ones to
Okay.
take out Norm early. All right. Oh man.
If we could.
Yeah, I was just curious on that. Let's see. Okay, so I'm thinking for number 6, I'm gonna pick Betty White.
Number 6, Betty White.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I'm gonna go Betty White. I misturned my list. I probably would have picked her over Kate McKinnon. Because Betty White is she still alive? No, she did. No, she's still alive.
No, she passed like a couple years ago. I think she was age 100. She passed a year or two.
That was like just the last year. Because like I think the woman that played B. Arthur passed. And so Betty White was like the last remaining golden girl. And we're like, well, she's probably gonna live forever, and it wasn't long after, but oh my god, she's so funny. And even in like her older age, like when she did one of the roasts, like she got up there and just was one of the funniest people that whole show. So, yeah.
Man. Okay, let's go on over. Okay, so this is 6 in the Bill Burr region.
Could face Robin.
Could face Robin.
Get your big ones, but also get your ones that you're not hoping to make a deep run.
I know. You know what? They tried to cancel him. They failed. I'm going with Louis C.K.
Oh, okay.
I'm going Louis. He's a fantastic comic. All right, so you got the 7 or the 6 and 7 here.
Yeah.
6 in the Trey Parker, Matt Stone region.
Ooh, okay. I wasn't gonna pick him this high, but I almost think he has like, and he's probably not much younger than Sandler. But if this matchup happens, for whatever reason, they kind of track similarly for me. There's not a lot in common. Everybody might disagree. I think it's the voices. I'm going to pick Nick Kroll here.
Okay, interesting.
I really like Nick Kroll. He's done a lot of really good funny stuff. He had a very underrated sketch comedy show that aired on Comedy Central back in the day. I think it was just Kroll Show. It had some incredible bits and segments. Yeah. Really funny stuff. He's one of the leads on Big Mouth, which is one of the funnier shows right now. He was in The League as well. I'm just saying all the shows I've talked about for like our favorite TV shows and comedies and stuff like that. I'm like, The League, Big Mouth. I'm just going through those again. Yeah. But Nick Kroll's really funny. Even though I would have a couple comedians higher, I think him and Sandler, if they meet up, will be an interesting matchup.
Okay, cool.
So I'm finagling here.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, you gotta
starting to build some matchups that I want to see happen.
Gotta love a good finagle. And
and then I'm the 7.
You're the 7. Real quick on Nick Kroll, when you did your top 5 or top 10 comedy shows or top 6, I don't know if we're doing our top 6. You had Big Mouth on there, but I forgot where you had ranked. I know you had The League at number 1.
Big Mouth was like 6 or 5. Okay. It was towards the end. I think it was American Dad, Big Mouth.
Okay.
Something. Workaholics, Sonny, The League.
Yeah.
I don't know what I might have had at 4. I think it was at 5.
Yeah, dude, I need to get on The League because we are just like on the same wavelength when it comes to Workaholics and Sonny.
For sure.
And I've never seen The League, and if you have The League above those two, I feel like I need to watch it.
It catches on it's very funny from the first season,
Mhm.
and I think the first season they were like, let's be a fantasy football comedy, but by the later seasons, like, that's all but disappeared from the show.
Okay.
It's very funny though.
Yeah.
If you like big outlandish moments, and like some of those like big climaxes and like Sunny episodes where like the most ridiculous stuff happens, and you're like, it's never gonna get this far, is it? And it does.
Mhm.
Same thing happens in League with a lot of episodes.
Oh,
It's
cool.
just bananas.
I love that.
All right, number 7. These all three. I'm gonna pick all three of them here. A lot of guys I would have put above Kroll. I think the best companion piece to Kroll is John Mulaney. I'm gonna put John Mulaney here. I like John Mulaney more. I think he's funnier. Oh my God! How could I forget? Oh hello! It's from the Kroll Show, but it's one of the two old Jewish New York guys,
Yeah.
and they actually took it on Broadway and did like shows.
Did they really?
Yeah, and I think John Mulaney's so funny, and he's got more stand up that I think people would recognize. I don't know if Kroll has any like stand up specials that are out there really.
Yeah.
But Mulaney's amazing, and I had to pick them back to back. If it was not for finagling, I would have taken Mulaney ahead of Kroll, but I want to see Kroll Sandler maybe. Who would Mulaney go up against the second round? Chappelle. Okay.
Oh.
That'd be funny.
Chappelle's got some potential to go far here, but
He does, yeah.
Mulaney's, I feel like
Very
he's
popular.
gotten much more popular in the past few years.
Yeah.
Because for a while he was just a writer on SNL, right?
Mhm, yeah.
And you knew of him, but he didn't do a whole lot.
He had a failed sitcom show
Really?
very early on. It was yeah, it's been made fun of before on like different shows and stuff. It was basically like people just compared it to like a crappy like Seinfeld knockoff.
Okay.
Where like intermixed in like this guy like living in New York and being a comedian, it would like show bits of his doing like comedy. Like, he just basically made Seinfeld. Of course it's failed. Not Jerry from Seinfeld. The comedians would just rip on him for it. That was like a long time ago, but
Yeah.
yeah.
When between scenes would it go?
Yeah, they just ripped the same thing.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
All right, so I got a number 7 here. Man, it's getting really really hard. It's really hard not to go with this guy just yet, but I'm gonna hold off.
Who's his 2? Who could face Eddie Murphy in the second round
Could
if you
face-
wanted finags?
Could face Eddie.
Eddie Guerrero in the second round.
Okay, I'm doing it. This is an off the wall pick. I'm going with just my personal favorite comedian right now living. I'm going with Mark Norman.
Yeah, all right. I love it.
He hasn't cracked quite yet into like, I feel like most people probably still don't know who he is, but he's getting there.
Nice.
All right.
7 over here. The 2 is Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh boy.
Woo! I wouldn't have picked him this high, but I kind of want these other guys to not have to go against Jerry Seinfeld. I think this will be a better matchup. I think it's got a potential for an upset.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Ben Stiller.
Ooh. Okay.
He's like the Jerry Seinfeld of movies.
Yeah. Kind of.
They're both Jewish.
Yeah.
And incredibly popular, incredibly funny, and yeah.
Absolutely. Man. Okay. So for my 7, I'm just gonna stop thinking and go with what feels right in my gut. I don't want to see this person fall any lower than a 7. In fact, I know what I'm doing back to back here. For my number 7 in the Trey Parker Matt Stone region, I'm gonna go with Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh, all
I
right.
tell you, get no respect, I tell you. Awful Rodney Dangerfield impression.
This is good.
I tell you.
Your eyes gotta like bulge out of your head though. That's the hard part.
I can't quite do that.
Yeah.
And then number 7 over here, I'm going with John Candy.
Oh, all right.
Or wait,
Nice.
8 over here.
8,
Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then we're going to start seeing,
John Candy and Jim Carrey, both Canadians, I think.
yeah, I believe that.
Yeah. Both JCs.
Interesting.
Maybe Jesus Christ will be the 9 seed.
16, to be honest. All right.
You know,
But he's Jewish. I mean,
the more you think about it, I'm surprised I didn't consider like picking some religious figure as comedic. Maybe it still happened.
Wow.
No, just,
Mohammed, you think that's
let's think
bad?
of Joseph Smith for all the funny things he just made happen.
Very true.
Made up. All right. My 8 seed, and this is the one there is.
Oh, sorry,
Who
let me
pick
get
as
to
your first number 1 seed.
My first number 1 seed was Farley.
Farley.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I said I was gonna put him as a 12. I'm gonna leave him as a 12.
All right.
But he would be good there. Oh man, I'm trying to avoid my favorites in that like dreaded like 8, 9, or 7 spot, because you don't want them to go up against the one or the two, because those, until our worst things bracket, we're pretty consistent to make it deep, but worst things bracket just.
A 15 seed made it to the finals.
Yeah. A couple 15s went deep. I think another 15 went deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been wild, but there was one that we just pulled out of our butts as we were going.
But it was tough because, not to go off on a tangent, but like we didn't want to put things that were like too serious on there, like Holocaust and slavery and like the really bad things.
Yeah. Because you don't want to compare those to like things and be like, how can you, like, if there's one time where it's like apples to oranges and somebody's going to say that, and I'm going to be like, you're kind of right. Yeah. It's like comparing like a tragic world event that lasted for like centuries or decades in history and compare it to like, you know, unwanted body hair.
What's worse? Having hair in your nose or the genocide of 7 million people or whatever?
Yeah, that just seemed like a little bit off. Okay, 8 seed. I'm going to pick. I'm going to pick a guy here that I was going to put on here. Mm-hmm. I would never put him this high. I think a lot of people have forgotten about him. I think a lot of people almost at times compared him to Farley, but then he had his own thing, which was impressions. And I'm going to put Frank Caliendo
Okay, all right, cool.
And his impressions are incredible. He also had like a Kevin Hart moment in time for me where all I heard from people was like, you know Frank Caliendo? Have you seen Frank Caliendo? He's so funny. And I think that was what it was like Kevin Hart too. Is like, not only was on TV, but everybody was just like, you gotta watch this. It's Frank Caliendo. Listen how good his impression is. Like, okay, I get it. I've heard a lot of good impressions before. And yes, it's good. It's the best one. But like, yeah.
Yeah. And then they made a show with him, and they just recycled his impressions. Like, the show was bad. His impressions were good. But it was a bummer that they didn't have like some better writing and a more clever way to tie in those impressions. Yeah. But yeah, when he did, I mean, obviously his Madden.
His Madden's so good.
He had one bit where he was like, yeah, a lot of people compare me to John Belushi, and if you don't see it, then he just did this with his nose and he turned to the side. He looked exactly like him.
He just did the voice probably too.
Yeah,
spot on.
Nailed it all.
That's great.
Very talented.
Yeah, he's very talented.
Yeah. Okay, so we're up number 8 here in the Bill Burr region.
The Bill Burr.
I know what I am gonna do here. I'm going Chris Rock.
All right.
Going Chris Rock.
Ooh. I think that's going to be a good matchup. If Chris Rock beats the 9 seed, and Chris Rock, Bill Burr honestly have similar vibes in their delivery. Yeah. Just yelling, and sometimes a lot of their bits.
Yeah.
Just angry about it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's great.
Yeah. All right, so you got the 8, and then we start the most fun part, and that's...
We start seeing the matchups. I'm pretty sure I know who I'm going here.
Cool.
I think this is a personal favorite of mine. From his time in another show. He's now one of the most popular late night talk show hosts, but I think that's also going to work against him because late night talk shows ends up usually doing topical news stuff, and so then people either hate it or love it, and then if they do different jokes at night, then they swap and they hate it or they love it. So they just go, I hate this guy because he does jokes that offend the things I like. But I'm going to go Stephen Colbert. The Colbert Report was amazing. It was so clever and so funny, and I think in a way that was more well written and more balanced, almost in like a Matt and Trey way on like the topics at that time than usually like the quick like we're on a time crunch jokes of like late night, because they took like long chunks off during the Colbert Report, and that was like taped and not live and things like that. So I think it was a better quality than a late night show.
Yeah.
Shorter too. So an hour and a half, like 30 minutes.
For sure. Is it a PH? Do you know if I got the spelling?
I think it is. Yeah, I believe it's a PH. Yep, and the last name is right as well.
Yeah, cool.
All right, 9
All right.
here.
We putting it against J Candy.
I am gonna go with another JC-ish. I'm gonna go. Oh, I should go Jimmy Kimmel here. I actually really like Jimmy Kimmel. He's really funny. I'm gonna go with J.C. Riley, John C. Riley.
Okay, John
I think
C.
he fits
Riley.
in this weird like John Candy, Jim Carrey, John C. Riley. They all are
like
kind of primarily actor comedians, and they all sort of have their own style of comedic performing.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Here we go. I'm on the 9 against Frank Caliendo. I'm a little disappointed this guy slipped so far down, but it's, this little Farley quadrant. I'm putting Spade on here.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice. Yeah.
And I hate if Spade makes it past Frank Caliendo, I feel like I'm just going to feed him to Farley. But
I think that's how he felt his whole life.
yeah, exactly. So it'll be cool to see them if Spade makes it past. Or who knows? Maybe, enough time has passed. People don't know who Farley is. You sneak in the right person who's hot right now, and people are like, I like, this comedian better.
That's true. It is possible.
Yeah. Okay, so you got a number 9 going up against...
I've got the perfect person for this section. I wanted him to be higher because he's personally like maybe one of my top 5 comedians of all time.
Okay.
And I think he is a higher seed than this, maybe, but we finagled and we also like gave our dap and honors. Nobody says dap anymore to like people that came before and stuff. But this is also he doesn't do it. He's almost the exact opposite of Rock and Burr in like emotional. Emotion when doing jokes, but his jokes are just as harsh. I'm going Anthony Jeselnik.
Oh, good call. Yeah. I might need some help with the last name.
Jeselnik.
Yep, Jeselnik. I got a Jeselnik-esque comedian that if I don't pick him before, he's going to slip right into this 16 number, I think.
Right on.
Because I've always wanted them to interact. Because they're kind of similar, but I'll save it for later.
Double upset, just if they both would go on, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see him falling to 16.
Okay,
I'm pretty high on this dude. Okay, so we're gonna go down to the 9 in the Trey Parker, Matt Stone region. I can't let this dude slip anymore. I feel like. I like him. He's mentioned amongst the greatest stand-up comedians of all time. You hear Pryor. This guy's kind of like his counterpart, like white counterpart.
Yeah.
I think he put out like so many specials that like a lot of it is just kind of like not that good, but he's got just golden nuggets throughout that if you were to combine it all into one, it would be like
it would be a great
special.
show.
Yeah, he was almost more of like a philosopher than he was comedian. Didn't do a whole lot of TV or movies, maybe a Carson set here or there, and then maybe popped up in a couple of movies. I'm going George Carlin, and I don't think he had one of the best. He had one of my favorite stand-up bits. I think it was on the Complaints and Grievances special where he talks about little expressions that people use all the time that like seem common but they make no sense, and he's like, legally drunk. Well, if it's legal, then what's the fucking problem? Hey, leave my friend alone, officer. He's legally drunk. And I feel like if you could boil down Carlin to one joke, it's like him just kind of nitpicking at things.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. Alrighty, so moving on up to...
Tens.
Gotta love that 10 slot here. Alright, 10 going up against
Mulaney.
Don't
worry if he loses his sign. And I don't have any personal... Nobody... I'll be sad. I won't be sad if anybody you pick is like a sure thing to beat this guy because somebody slipped too far.
Okay.
Because there are some classics. Like, I'm looking at your list and there's some famous people we have not put on that like people are just going to vote for because of the name recognition.
Yeah. For this one, this could go either way. But I love him. I feel like he had a really hot run in like between like 2008 and like 2013. Like he just kind of put out a lot of gold. But he's cooled off a little bit, but he's still good. I'll put Seth Rogen in here.
Okay.
I'm a big Rogen fan, and I think he'll go nicely up there.
That's a good matchup.
Good matchup. Yeah. John Mulaney and Seth Rogen. All right, so your 10 seed to go up against my guy. Yeah, and same thing. If you got a guy who's just gonna knock Mark Norman out,
I'll try and pick somebody else here that. Yeah, let's make this one where like whoever wins is getting fed to Eddie Murphy, probably most likely. I won't pick somebody super popular, but I'm gonna pick another personal favorite of mine because of his work in The League and Big Mouth. I'm gonna pick Jason Mantzoukas.
Okay.
He's a very funny actor. I will give you the last name: Mantzoukas.
Okay.
But he's a personal favorite of mine. I'll get him on here. We'll see who's more recognizable.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. I like that. It's a good idea. Cool. Thanks for going easy on Mark here.
For sure.
All right. Okay, so my 10 here.
I didn't want to pick Mike Myers there. He's probably coming up next then. It's like, Jesus. I was like, that's just not right.
Going up against Ben Stiller as a 10 seed.
This is somebody that you could put up a big name on, if you wanted, I would think.
I like a lot of these names, but I'm not gonna there's a lot of people that'll go here. I'm gonna go Dana Carvey.
Oh.
Yeah. Dana Carvey, he was kind of like the pillar of Saturday Night Live for a while. He was kind of the mainstay when, the whole new crops, the Sandlers and the Farleys and the Mike Myers. Carvey was there before, and he kind of was like the locker room leader, I guess you could say. He was the Undertaker of Saturday Night Live. Okay, you're 10 going up against Rodney.
Oh, I mean, then it makes sense. I couldn't remember who the 7 was here. I will make this Mike Myers because him and Dana Carvey are forever intertwined and linked. I didn't put him against Mark Norman because that wouldn't have been a fun matchup. I do think this will be a better matchup. Yeah. So let's go Mike Myers here. Mikey Myers. Mikey Day. Sneak him on there really quick.
Mikey Day right here. Okay. So we're going up. We got the Jim Carrey region here.
This is me, I think, right?
Yeah, you're
11 against Jack Black.
Jack Black, dude.
I don't know why these guys remind me of each other. They're not that similar. I'm gonna put Danny McBride here.
Okay, that's a really good first round matchup. Wow.
Yeah, I don't think Danny McBride. I think Danny McBride is personally more subjectively funnier to me, but I think Jack Black is more likable and a lot more recognizable. So I think he'll go on. But it's a good matchup.
Ooh.
If you are familiar with both's work.
Yeah. Well, I think if it's like a neck and neck thing. This may be a weird take. I feel like if it's a neck and neck thing, Jack Black against anyone else, you're gonna go vote Jack Black because he's got the cool factor. Jack Black's cooler, but Danny McBride, cool. I don't think Jack Black has the cool edge. So that's a really good matchup there. Okay, my 11
Betty White.
There's Betty White.
Oh no, go easy on the poor gal.
Yeah. I'm going to go pretty easy
go hard.
on her, or we're going real hard.
Go the guy under...
I'm going Cosby.
No, you're not.
I am going Cosby.
Oh, no.
He made it pretty far in the worst thing bracket.
He did.
But
he did. Elite 8, I think.
Yeah, he was pretty far. So if we want Betty White to make a little run at this, I think people are going to be... reluctant to vote on
for sure
Bill Cosby, but he's got some good specials. Yes, Bill Cosby himself. For all right, so the 11 up against Louis.
Okay. I think I've got 1 or 2 picks that make the most sense here. I don't think I'd take anybody else. I almost want to pick this one guy because it would be probably somebody Louis C.K. would hate more than anybody else in terms of comedy. I think I might pick him to get him out of here. To get him out here now, because I don't want him to beat another decent dark horse that's like a 4 or a 5 that we're hoping will go long because this guy's very popular. So I'm gonna pick him here because Louis C.K. will actually die if he loses to Jeff Dunham.
Oh, okay, Jeff Dunham.
I
I thought you were going a different direction.
Oh.
I think there was a. Nah, I won't say anything.
I'm so curious. I'll try. I hope I remember who.
Yeah.
I feel like Louis C.K. would not respect Jeff Dunham's comedy.
No, I think.
I don't think a lot of classic traditional stand-up comedians respect it. Maybe they do, but they just hate that it's more popular.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of
Yeah, I like it. I like all comedy.
Yeah.
And if it makes me laugh, it makes me laugh.
I think people get mad that like a gimmick, like you're doing like this like thing that you take seriously as an art form, and you're trying to like push it forward, but still like respect the traditions and do it. And somebody comes up with this gimmick that like it does its own thing and has its own rules and doesn't get judged by the same quality standards because like you don't have to go up there and do like a set, come up with jokes. Like you just get to talk to characters and you're basically not alone on stage. Like it changes all the rules, and like I think people get a little bit bitter about it and like, well, I could do it, but I never would because I have too much respect for myself and the craft.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. We're getting down to some nitty gritty here, aren't we?
Nitty
and gritty.
11s and then 12s. I've got my 12s lined up. I know one of them for sure.
You know who I'm gonna put up against Nick Kroll? This may be a bit surprising. I'm going with Daniel Tosh.
Oh, okay.
I think that's who I was talking about when you picked Jeselnik. Jeselnik and Tosh always kind of reminded me of one another.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna pull the trigger with Tosh now.
That's a good one. Those guys are both kind of started to get very popular around the same time, so I think they'll be voted on fairly.
Yeah. So we'll see if you know one, you know the other. Very, very likely.
I would probably. The funny thing is, as much as I like Nick Kroll, I would, in terms of like, well. Again, we talked about Nick Kroll not really having like stand-up specials that I remember. I think Daniel Tosh is a better joke writer. Oh, that's bold because Nick Kroll does a lot of writing. Oh, that's tough. They're too different. I don't know if I can vote for that one.
Yeah,
because one's like more sketch and one's like more stand-up. Honestly.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah. Man, that's a good matchup.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on the 12s. You said you got your 12s already picked out.
I know one of my 12s.
Okay.
But I think you're up first.
Okay. To go up against Kevin Hart in the first round, I'm not the biggest Kevin Hart fan.
That's fair. I'm not either.
I do like him. I think he's fun, and I totally get what you're saying. Like the whole like, because when someone has such a buzz behind him, my initial reaction is like, not that great, a little hipstery, like whatever.
You have to balance the scales.
Yeah. Yeah.
And go take it easy, guys. This isn't the funniest man to walk the planet.
Right. It's probably where my Robin Williams hate comes from.
Yeah.
I'm a Robin Williams hater. I'll be the first one to tell you that. So Kevin Hart, who would match up well against Kevin Hart? This seems weird. This is just, if there was apples and oranges, now is the time. I'm gonna go with Sacha Baron Cohen.
Okay, I like it.
I'm going with Borat.
I did see him on your list. I was like, that's a great one. I didn't write him on mine. I would have maybe stolen him if I got down out of my numbers. But yeah, he's incredible and very funny.
He made it pretty far. Who did he drop to in the best actor bracket? Do you know? Was it Robert Downey?
I think it was Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, he dropped to Robert Downey Jr. But he's no slouch. He's pretty funny. Alrighty. You got a 12er, gonna go up against LD.
Oh man, this isn't a good matchup. I think this is also a very weird matchup.
Okay.
This is my alternative comedy pick. It's more of this guy makes you uncomfortable. Because he almost just does like, I'd call them bits, but they're like traps. I'm gonna pick Eric Andre.
Oh, okay.
And he's the kind of unpredictable that I think even other comedians that are around like don't feel comfortable with him.
Okay.
I think everybody respects him, but are just like, this fucking guy.
Yeah.
I think he like came on somebody's like podcast, like Jeselnik's like brought firecrackers and like lit them under the thing, and Jeselnik was like looked super pissed. I don't know if it was an act, but he was like, "Are you serious?" He was just his Jeselnik like, "Are you serious right now?"
Are you serious?
And so Eric Andre is a great weird 12 seed.
That's pretty good.
Anything, but
yeah. Dang, this is good. We're getting good
Get
like
that alt brand.
mixed bag. Yeah. Because I don't know if I've had a lot of picks that you wouldn't have picked, but you've had a lot of picks that I wouldn't have picked. Like I wouldn't even have thought of some of these people, which is great. Gives it a good balance, I think. Which is perfect. Okay, so what are we on?
12s.
12s. Okay, 12 going up against
Zach. Oh, Zach and Eric Andre would have been a good one too.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go. I think this dude will have a decent shot against Galifianakis. I'm gonna go Jonah Hill.
Oh, nice. That's such a good one.
Yeah, and I'll say I'm not even the biggest Jonah Hill fan these days. But you know his run with like Superbad.
Yeah.
He was just so funny in that, and I liked the movie. Did you ever see This Is the End?
Yeah.
Jonah Hill played himself. That was funny.
Yes, it is.
Jonah Hill plays like himself, but like a D-bag version of himself. He's like, oh, that's tight. You're sick, man. What's up? He's got like an earring.
An earring. Oh my! The Danny McBride James Franco interaction when James Franco comes out, he's like, "Who jizzed in my magazine?" is the funniest thing. If you want to laugh tears, that's like a go-to for me. I laugh tears every time I see it.
100%.
It's literally like one of the funniest clips of all time.
One of the funniest scenes ever.
Yeah,
I put it up there. Cool. So we got 12C.
Another 12 against Richard Pryor. Oof. What's the best choice here? I've got a few. Man. Could I put him up against somebody that maybe people would be like is somewhat of a contemporary of his, and they would compare him for racial reasons probably, but I don't know if I will. I think I'm just going to go, because I don't want to make it look like I'm doing it. I want to compare him for racial reasons. Who do people think is the better black comedian? Tell me, a white person. I don't know. I'm just going to go Jimmy Kimmel. I think he did the Man Show early on. He's done stand-up. He's done the roast. He's, I think, one of the talk show hosts that least triggers people and offends them.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I think the continued bits they do still stays in like general comedy that doesn't like pit people against people. I really like him. He's done it for so long, and I had to get him on here. I think it's a good fair matchup.
Yeah, for sure. Man, we are down to the wire here.
13.
I got too many names on this list. I'm gonna give myself.
I'm narrowing down, so I'm getting in a good spot here. Okay, then Dave Attell. Okay, how many? I've got. We're on 13s. Okay, I don't need to go to my deep ones yet. I'm gonna leave them for like for sure losses. I'm gonna go. Man, do I go British? Do I go somebody I like? Do I go somebody that's gonna upset Dave Attell because they're more popular? I think I don't want Dave Attell to lose, but I don't want somebody else to lose. You know what? No, I'm gonna put Lisa Lampanelli here.
Oh, cool.
I think they would love to know that people were voting on them in terms of favorite comedian or funniest person. I think they would take it in stride and both be happy, and because I really care how they feel about our bracket, I don't want them to have hurt feelings.
Right.
Because then they'll stop, hanging out with me and being my friend in real life.
Yeah, I have dreams all the time that I hang out with comedians. It's like the best part of my day. Lampanelli. Do you think it's Lampin? Or
I believe it's A-N. I think you have it correct. That is how I spelled it.
Cool. All right. So the 13 going against Ricky Gervais. All right. I think it's a good place to pull the trigger here. God, there's a movie star that I have just been sitting on forever. A few of them. But here for Ricky Gervais, I'm gonna go. He's funny, but I think he's gonna. I'm cool with letting him slip. All right, I'll do it. I'm gonna go Bill Murray.
Okay.
It's time for good old Bill Murray. A.Y. Murray.
Murray. I think it's a good matchup.
Yeah, Bill Murray. Get a little of that old school, like 80s cred.
All right. I know Norm is important to you. Wait, I think we're over. I got a new Norm, right?
Oh, shoot. Wait.
Or no, Norm is a 3.
Norm's a 3.
Yeah, my bad. I'm on 13s. No.
Okay, 13.
Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
All right, good. Then I can go a little bit harder than I thought, and really have this come up. I've got 2 choices. I thought of this guy late. I don't know if I'm giving him too much credit and putting him too high. I'm gonna go Andy Samberg.
Okay.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine really is a funny show. He was really funny in Saturday Night Live. His songs with Lonely Island are incredible.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get him on there.
Yeah, and I want to make sure it's Samberg, right?
Yep.
Okay. Because my brain wants me to
Sandberg.
Sandberg.
Like Ryan Sandberg from baseball as we were growing up. Mm-hmm. Cool. Or Carl Sandburg, the poet. Carl Sandburg, but he was URG, I think. The best poet bracket someday.
you could do one.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't know poets. I know rappers.
Yeah.
Okay, 13.
The popular poets.
Yeah, 13 going up against Kate McKinnon. Yeah, I gotta do it here. I'm gonna go Bill Hader.
Nice, because I was gonna go Hader and I took Samberg because I thought it was a better matchup for Will Ferrell.
Yeah, that's perfect. I'm going Hader up against Kate McKinnon.
Nice, I like it. That's a good one.
Yeah. And then it'd be cool to see a Hader. I mean, he's very, very unlikely, but going up against Matt and Trey because they wrote together for a while.
Oh.
Yeah.
I could see Hader winning too. Yeah. It's not impossible.
True. He's got that really hot gif right now where he's like dancing.
Oh,
and
it's like the Fred.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it was a sketch where he was like this android or like something that you like bought and you had it and they're like, this is like the cool new thing, and he just like dances or something.
Yeah.
It's just like to entertain your guests. Just like turn it on. Go Fred. I think it was called Fred. I don't remember.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna start going. I gotta get my favorites.
We've each got 6 more picks.
Yeah, 6 more picks. For my 14 here up against Norm. I don't want to do this to Norm.
Well, you're up.
Oh, good.
You don't have to pick against Norm. You get to pick against Mitch.
Oh, jeez.
It's fine. I even announced I don't even like Mitch Hedberg, but I have to respect his writing.
I think this will be a really good matchup. I don't think he has much of a chance. But he is kind of cracking mainstream right now, and enough people know about him. He could stand toe-to-toe with Mitch. I'm going to go with Tom Segura.
Okay. Nice.
He did fall lower than I thought he would, but I think he did pretty good. Tom Segura, let me make sure I remember. Okay, so you got Norm. Who's going to take down Norm here?
This is where I start going off my weird picks. I already told you, I already prefaced and prepped you a little about them. I've got 4, and I'm just going to do them first so I don't wait until my last 2 16s where I'll probably put 2 personal favorites. I think Norm would love this matchup.
All right.
I am going to put him up against Will Shakespeare. Yeah, just gonna do it.
I think I spelled Shakespeare, right? Shakes.
You got it.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know I probably should have to explain it, but maybe I shouldn't. Like, William Shakespeare also wrote a lot of comedies. These are legitimately funny. This is like great sketch and setup humor where like characters are getting into just like these wacky situations where they either have to play something straight or it's just like this ridiculous over the top. There's a lot of great clever line writing. Some of the lines and like clever twists and turns of phrase are just like top notch, and it's almost like you sit there and you go, wow, like, oh my gosh, this guy is a master of wordplay. Like some of the great comedians who will walk into a situation and be able to hit you with a line like that and just like completely say something that you would have never thought of yourself. So shout out to Bill the Master.
That's wild. I did not see that coming, but let's see if he makes it around. What if he wins? He could win.
He could win. I think everybody will be like really mad about that and go like, is this serious? Because they'll be like, because I think most people, their first instinct for Shakespeare is just tragedies. Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, Macbeth. But yeah, comedies are solid too.
Yeah.
You had to have been like a arts and humanities major in college to know the Shakespeare comedies, probably.
For sure. Yeah. Okay.
Here you go. This is your chance to take him down. Come swinging at the king, King Robin.
I don't know who's gonna have much of a chance that's left on my list to take on Robin Williams, but
I see three.
Three that might do it.
Two of them for specific reasons.
Okay.
And one that I don't think he'd win, but I think he's well liked. Actually, I see another. I see a host that I think is pretty popular.
Yeah.
That could do it.
He's pretty darn likable, but man, Robin Williams. All right, I'm gonna go Steve Martin.
Oh, okay. Nice. Steve Martin's still doing it too.
He's still doing
Got
it.
that Netflix show that's very popular. I don't know if it's a comedy. I think it's kind of like a detective comedy, like Clue would be. Like Only Murders in the Building or something.
Yeah.
Selena Gomez is in it. That's why I know about it. Haven't watched it though. Adam Sandler. He's who's he going up against? Okay. This was the region I was going to put this guy in. He's got no chance, unfortunately, and I really like him. I really respect him. I don't know if you would consider this is such a weird out there pick.
Okay.
Because he's, as far as I know, not a writer, and he's never been a stand-up comedy. He's never done stand-up comedy, and he performs comedy, but not in the traditional way you're thinking. Because a lot of comedy we think is based on your movement, your facial expressions, a lot of performance. Like Jim Carrey is funny because he moves. His face does stuff. Mm-hmm. But this guy has probably voiced as many famous like comedy characters in animated shows for kids, for adults, for commercials. The Cheerio Bee. I'm gonna go Billy West and get that brand of just voice comedy.
Okay.
And performing things vocally on there, because this was the region with Matt and Trey and some other interesting stuff. So, and I feel like he would do an Adam Sandler impression because his voice, like his Honey Nut Cheerio Bee. I think probably when we were growing up, we were like, is that Adam Sandler doing that or like something? So, but yeah, I think Billy West is like SpongeBob. He's Fry from Futurama. He's the Honey Nut Cheerio Bee. He's probably thousands. His credit list on IMDb would take you like probably 2 hours to read through. I guarantee it.
Interesting.
He's done so much.
Interesting. You brought up a good point about, or an interesting point. You with Jim Carrey and like the facial expression, like the physical comedy.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're a stand-up comedian that's like very like physical, like it's pretty. I don't want to say risky. I also don't want to say vulnerable because a word is thrown around so much. It's just like you're putting yourself out there, and it would be like more. It would be more painful to bomb if you're doing like this wacky stuff than if you're just going up and talking. Yeah, could you imagine like you're doing like you're jumping around and then you just got like a bunch of people like
not reacting. I could see that.
That's just such a sad sight to me. I'm like, okay, you're not liking the words I'm saying. Whatever, I'm out of here. But like you're like, look at me, and then people are like,
oh my god, I can't believe we don't have any clowns on this list, like actual clowns. I totally see what you're saying, and I think like if you started to bomb and you were a physical comic, like that's probably the first thing to go. Like you just like now you're like frozen in a statue, like tucked in. But I also feel like maybe that's like a shield. Like if you're worried your like bits aren't as clever or your jokes aren't as funny, you might be like, if I move a lot, like then like you might be able to rebound from that and be like, well, you know, people probably just didn't think maybe I gotta work on my face or my moves, but like I don't have to. People didn't hate my jokes, which is kind of like the crux of being a comedian. Yeah. So maybe you use that as like a shield to protect yourself. But I could see it go either way. Seeing somebody bomb as they're flailing around is more awkward than just them talking to me. Like, oh, I should get off the stage now.
Cool.
All right, so I'm at 15 here.
You're 15. You're
going up against Dave Chappelle. All right,
Mr. Dave Chappelle.
Then I am going to go with. Oh man, so I've got the other two that I'm picking against. Oh, I don't know who it is. Never mind. I'm gonna pick. Am I gonna go with another playwright? I said I was gonna do two of them. I don't think I'm going to now. I'm gonna put. Oh man, who do I go with? Because I'm only picking one of these. Do I go Kenan Thompson
Ooh.
or Keegan-Michael Key.
Ooh.
And I'm a big Key fan. I loved him on Mad TV, but Keenan also did All That and Saturday Night Live, and Chappelle had his own sketch show like Keegan-Michael Key. I'm gonna go Keegan-Michael Key. I like him more. I want to see that matchup. I'm going Keegan-Michael Key. I like him more than Jordan Peele as well.
Yeah.
Sorry to Jordan Peele, even though Jordan Peele is probably the more respected one because of his writing for Twilight Zone and horror movies and stuff like that. But I this is a personal one here, so you know.
Well, it's similar. We had Chappelle Show versus Key and Peele in the first one.
Oh!
We had Saturday Night Live in there too.
Yeah. Can we make it a triple threat?
We can make it a triple threat.
Keenan in here?
Yes, we absolutely can.
Well, wait, we don't know how to make it visually look like a triple threat.
But we
Keegan
will.
Keenan. Keegan / Keenan.
Keenan, yeah.
Yeah.
Keenan Michael Key. How about that?
Yeah, there we go.
How do you spell Keenan?
It's just one E though. Kenan.
Keenan Michael Key.
Yeah. Keenan Key.
We'll know what it means.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, when we unveil the bracket, people are gonna be like, "Who the hell is that? You don't even know who that is." So I'm gonna go.
Yeah, you can write Keegan. I think you even put Keenan in that middle spot, that middle cell. Is there a cell between it?
Yeah.
Just put Keenan.
Genius.
That's juicy.
That's a really good way to do it because I feel like I'll do the inevitable and be like, "Oh, I can't believe I didn't include so and so." So it'd probably be more than just a.
Yeah, we do some triple threats sometimes,
triple threats,
and we might even listen to you if you're like, "Come on, guys, you missed this guy. Put him in there. We'll slide him in somewhere."
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, here we go. Down to the wire. I want to get some of my personal faves on here. So for this, sorry to this person. He's going to get fed to Eddie Murphy. But Shane Gillis, my guy. He's a fantastic comedian, all-around funny dude. So that's that. All right. So who do you got going up against?
I'm going to get a writer on here.
Okay.
And I thought of him late. And not the playwright. And I haven't brought this guy up. He's a modern writer. He's maybe not the funniest writer, but he is a well-known humorist. His sister is a famous comedic performer and voice actor. I'm going to put David Sedaris on here. And you may have heard of David Sedaris. His may have come up. But he's written a lot of books. They're all kind of humor-based. His sister's Amy Sedaris. They're a family that grew up in, I believe, South Carolina, maybe North Carolina. And they just have the wildest stories from their upbringing. And he continues to just be a great observational humorist. And I'll put him on here.
Interesting. Spelling on the Sedaris?
You got it.
Really? Sedaris. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to go over to Steve Carell. I want to get a couple of people. I got 3 more. I'm going to go Don Rickles against Steve Carell. It's a little bit of a wacky matchup, but I feel like Don Rickles should be on there, kind of like the roast master before the roast master. Back in the day, if you got, ripped on by Don Rickles, it was like a rite of passage. He's like being in an Eminem song. He's like, oh, I made fun of you? That's a good thing, or South Park episode, or so Don Rickles.
For sure.
Okay, so you got.
Oh,
I got Jim Carrey. Oh boy. Okay. See, now this is an interesting one because Jim Carrey's pretty polarizing.
He is, yeah. He's lost some steam.
He's lost
in his older age.
He
could go down.
He could go down, and I think
you gotta pick one of the 2 gentlemen with a J as their first name, I think, unless you're leaning somewhere else. But I was thinking you were leaning towards one of your J's.
Oh man, I don't have a JC.
No.
But
pretty close.
I'll go Jack Benny right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. JP.
So hopefully maybe he'll get the
Justin
all
Bieber.
the J's.
All the J's.
Okay, so you got Farley.
I'm going to go with. Oh, all right. Am I gonna go? I've got a couple options. I've got one of two British gentlemen that I really like and I think are really funny. They have no chance, but I want them on here.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the one other playwright who doesn't need to be on here because we got Shakespeare. I got two weird things on here. I don't need Aristophanes, funny ancient Greek writer, but we're not putting him on there. Shout out to Stoff crew. Stoff crew. And then I've got two other personal favorites. One's on your list, so maybe he'll sneak in as a 16. But the other one I will definitely, if I don't pick him here, I will pick him against the other 1 seed. So I'm gonna go British. I'm gonna go with Richard Ayoade.
Okay.
And I can spell his last name because it's a weird one.
Get that
Ayaode.
Ayoade. Never heard of him.
I would say most popularly, he's in a show called The It Crowd, but it's like the IT Crowd. It's a British humor show, but he's in a lot of like those same things with like guys like Stephen Merchant's usually like Ricky Gervais stuff, with maybe like Matt Berry, who's another funny guy. But most famously for me, he's from this like very short 6-episode horror comedy spoof called Dark Place, and I think it is the most clever like intentional B movie horror comedy of all time. They're so good at making it look like it was badly produced.
Nice.
And it's so funny. There's like weird cuts and terrible edits.
Okay.
There's terrible special effects. The writing sometimes doesn't make sense. And then there's like behind the scenes where the guys who are all playing this will talk about how they were in this seminal, pivotal horror show.
Yeah.
And he's like this guy who's like, I'm not an actor. I'm just, Goff told me to do the line in the most mean voice I could. And then it cuts to it. And it's just like the worst performance ever of the line. It's like, told you I'm not an actor. Like, it's so funny. I definitely recommend watching Dark Place, especially if you're like a British humor fan.
Yeah.
Who are the actors in like Monty Python? We didn't put any of them in here.
You know what? I literally just jotted down.
Oh yeah.
Mel Brooks.
Oh right, I do like Mel Brooks.
And I have an idea.
You can sing a triple down.
I have an idea. I think since we made this triple threat, for now, after we've filled it up, we go through one more time and do a random triple threat.
Okay.
Like we each get 2.
Maybe I just get one then, since I picked one already.
Yeah. Sure.
That's fine.
We get.
So we all just have 4 or something.
We'll have 4 triple threats for now.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
More.
Let's do it.
Cool. So
maybe I'll get Aristophanes in there yet.
There you go. I picked Don Rickles, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Burr.
I picked, yeah.
I think we're both big Burr fans, and we don't want him to lose, but we don't want to put some of our own personal favorites that have fallen here and just automatically lose to Bill Burr.
I know. But I will put Martin Lawrence here.
Ooh, this has a chance.
So
this has a chance for a 1-seed upset, I think.
It's possible, but Burr, I feel like, has cracked into like, he's loved by like hardcore comedy fans, but even like mainstream people who might not be as into stand-up know Bill Burr. Like, he's doing like, he sells out theaters and arenas. Like, he's huge. So
yeah, and he's still doing it even after gaining the respect. Whereas like I think like Martin Lawrence had like his really popular days with like Bad Boys, Blue Streak, his like being on sketch comedy and stuff. And like now you don't hear much about him because he's older in age. But, like Bill Burr again, and that's why I put him as a 1 because I was like I think he's just still out there and recognizable. So. Oh God, Trey and Matt.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna go. Okay, I said I was gonna put this guy on here. Paul Scheer.
Okay.
He does stand up, but he's so funny in The League. I think it's SCH. Yeah, it's just SCH.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
But otherwise, you got it all. But cool. Yeah, he's a really funny guy. He's been doing comedy for a long time. He used to be on a lot of those VH1. Like, I love the '80s. I love the '90s. As one of those like, here's a quip about this thing. But his character is actually either my favorite or second favorite on The League. He's funny. He's in a lot of the Nick Kroll stuff. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Cool.
All right. So that's all the matchups.
Yeah.
From here on out, we're only going to be maybe making a couple a little bit more interesting and tweaking a few with anybody that we might have missed.
Yeah.
So, any thoughts on what we did? Or do we save those for after we make our triple threats? We could be like, who do we leave off and we're sad about still?
Oh, man.
Let's make our triple threats first.
Let's make the triple threats first. I'm having a crazy idea.
Okay.
Should we go through twice, make 8 total triple threats, and we pick where the new person would slip in?
That's fine.
It's kind of wild. So there'd technically be 18 people per region. So too many?
Right. I'm okay with that. I might not have enough people, so you can add more. If you want more of the triple threats, I might not have as many to do 3 of my own.
Okay.
Or 4 of my own.
Yeah, and it almost feels good to do this too because then people will be like, well, what are they ranked? And if they're slipped in as a third option, technically they're not ranked.
Unranked.
Yeah, unranked. So that being said, I do want to get Mel Brooks in here.
Okay.
And I really don't care where Mel Brooks slips in. But let's put Mel Brooks in... Well, we did the 215, so let's do that again.
Okay. Yeah,
Let's
we can
go
maybe
Mel
plan it all
Brooks
there.
In the 215.
All right.
So then we got...
Look at another 215.
Seinfeld.
Sedaris. Oh, cool. Then let's go with... I should have saved a British guy. This would have been good because it was 3 very different. Writer, Jerry Seinfeld, British guy. I don't know if I have a good one here.
Okay.
I would say if you want to take this one, you can.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm almost wondering if I have a better spot for somebody for a triple threat.
Okay.
Maybe the left side is 215s, and maybe we try and find a...
Yeah, wherever...
I'm wondering if... let me just peek really quick and see if I've got anything good. I don't want to disrupt the bracket too much either, though. And who am I even gonna pick?
Should we...
I'm alright passing. If you have one, you can take one. I don't got one.
I think we're good.
Okay.
I think we're good. Yeah. There's a lot, because it's I got the one on there that I think really need to be on there. That's Mel Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
All these on my list not getting on there, yeah, it's sad. But if I added one, I'd want to add them all. And I think doing all those triple threats is too much.
If you see any others where it just makes sense to fit it in, because hey, we're putting Dave Chappelle up against, do we want Keegan-Michael Key or Kenan Thompson? And not to say that they're too similar, but they both have had similar career paths, and both kind of are in that same popularity level and recognition.
Yeah.
I was almost thinking, because Charlie Day is kind of like a Jack Black in terms of musical comedy.
Right.
And who do we have Jack Black going up against? Danny McBride.
Yeah.
I think that, but you don't want to throw Charlie Day in there and ruin this matchup between two that maybe should stay that way and would be really good. So, yeah, I don't have anybody that I'm oh, for sure this makes sense here. I didn't want to put Ryan Reynolds on there somewhere or things like that. So, yeah.
Yes.
Or Paul Rudd.
Right. Paul Rudd would have been awesome. He's super funny. Sad that he didn't get on there.
Yeah.
A couple that I had on my list that didn't make the bracket.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the ones.
Conan would have been cool to put on there. Conan's been kind of a staple in comedy.
Yeah, I feel bad because I ended up putting 2 current late night guys on there. Mm-hmm. And I did Colbert and Kimmel. So I don't know if their matchup is whoever they're going up against is not that bad to put
Let's see.
I think they're
Colbert, Carlin, another C.
And Conan, yeah, Conan, Carlin. Colbert, Conan, Carlin.
Then who?
Kimmel was also getting 8 or 9, wasn't he, or was he not?
Kimmel.
Oh, he's at 12
against Pryor. They're right there. So yeah, I'm cool with throwing Conan here. In
if you want to, you can.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Conan, just to see. I think, because I'm not. I mean, there's nothing about the Colbert Carlin matchup that I'm like, it's got to be one-on-one.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I feel the
sense.
same way.
Conan's cool. And then I think a good for Eric Andre.
I was wondering.
Give me that Knoxville vibe because he kind of came in and was like part of the Jackass, like Jackass 4.
Yeah.
So I had Johnny Knoxville down because he always cracks me up. But he doesn't make. I mean, he didn't make the cut, so I'm cool with him just staying off.
Yeah. If you get that urge when it comes time to post that poll to do it, you pull the trigger.
All right.
Go for it.
Cool.
Yeah, I think my biggest regret was maybe like Charlie Day. Or I know you had Geraldo on there. But yeah, I think some of the other people, Pee Wee Herman, just in terms of like his legendariness, Paul Rubens for that Pee Wee Herman character. But yeah, I think I got everybody else on there really that I wanted. So
yeah, for sure. And yeah, Greg Giraldo was a huge bummer. And now that I even think of it, Jeff Ross is.
Yeah, Jeff Ross I considered. I forgot to write him down. Yeah. Dane Cook, because we both like Dane Cook.
Well, I think we both danced over Dane Cook because we were talking about him like popular comedians.
Yeah.
Were you ever thinking of him during this thing? Because I thought about it a few times. I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna.
No, just because I was like, I feel like he stopped. Like if he continued to do a lot of like he probably does, and I'm just not as deep in the comedy game as I used to be. Like I'm not searching it out. It has to like hit me in the face. But I think like if I had known that like Dane Cook was still doing stuff and seen stuff recently, even if it like, well, he's not popular anymore. He's kind of just like a mid-tier guy. Like the people that are fans stuck around, the people that just jump from Dane Cook to Kevin Hart to Frank Caliendo and annoy me and make everybody hate you. Then I'd be like, yeah, I'd still put him on there because he's still working it. But I feel like he has done stuff. I know you've mentioned it.
Dane Cook?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still doing stand-up. I think he just does a lot of stuff in LA at like Laugh Factory. I don't know how often he's at like the other ones, like the Comedy Store, but he's still doing it. And you know, he's funny when I saw him. Just he took off like a rocket ship.
Yeah.
That was wild. He just kind of ran shit for a while, and then it became cool to hate him. Kind of like Sandler. So, anything else before we wrap this one up? I could
maybe prediction for who wins it. Oh. This is gonna be hard because comedy, as people say, is very subjective, and part of me thinks that like somebody with a recognized name at the end of the day still just does go far, because if you don't know the two that well, you're going to vote for the person that you perceive as more popular.
Right.
And I think Chris Farley has a lot of people that just don't know or haven't seen a lot because of how short his comedic and time was. But I think everybody hears him talked about in such a respectful way that I think he might be I would say he's one of the three favorites in my mind. I think or other ones like Jim Carrey, he's too, again, like we talked about, I think he's a little too controversial. He could make the Final Four. I don't see him winning it. I think he'll go deep. Bill Burr is just going to run into somebody that's maybe more popular just the right day we posted, and it's more people that are like, oh man, I love Jonah Hill. Or I love Will Ferrell. Like, Will Ferrell's going to be a tough out if he goes up against Ferrell. Because of Will Ferrell's popularity.
Yeah.
Will Ferrell's a dark horse here. And then, Will Ferrell, Robin Williams. If there's one way that we can stop Robin Williams, I think Will Ferrell would beat him.
Will Ferrell's got to be
if Robin Williams makes the Elite Eight.
No, I could see.
I like this region.
Me too. I like this region a lot. I could see Galifianakis going really far.
Yeah.
Maybe even making an Elite Eight run to face off against Robin Williams. I don't see Robin Williams really dropping to anyone here. I think Seinfeld's super popular, but I just don't think he's got the he's kind of polarizing, almost like Jim Carrey.
Sure too.
People are like, I don't get it about him. It's just like, but
I think Galifianakis could go far, but I think Sandberg's got a chance too. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is a very popular show that is like, I think it's not as popular in the serious moments as like The Office was, but I think it gets it gets talked about by people that are like, I love a good like comfort show to go home and watch, make me laugh in the same way like The Office did. I feel like Brooklyn Nine-Nine has that same kind of vibe in the last few years, maybe.
Yeah, I didn't watch enough Brooklyn Nine-Nine. In fact, the one scene that I know well is the classic Backstreet Boys.
For sure.
I feel like that one, for whatever reason, everybody loves that scene.
That's actually, it's not my least favorite scene. I don't hate it, but I kind of hate it because I'm like, I've been like, don't act like grown men loving the Backstreet Boys and wanting to sing it is like a new thing. I've been wanting to do that my whole life. I walk around and just do ensemble Backstreet Boys anytime, and then don't do it for comedy. Like this didn't make people laugh when I did it. Don't come in here and Andy Samberg steal my thunder.
It's fair.
But no, it's good, but it's just like nothing that I thought was like, wow, I didn't expect that, because I'm constantly thinking about Backstreet Boys and I want it that way all the time. I'm ready to bust out in that singing at any moment, and I'm like, that's not worth filming a comedy thing for, because it just feels like that's what I just like the song.
Yeah.
But no, it's people always show me that. They're like, oh, you like Brooklyn Nine-Nine? You also like Backstreet Boys? I bet you'll love this. I'm like, not really.
No, you're the 13th person trying to show me that today, so get it on my face. I'll be honest with you, man. I don't see my boys Trey Parker, Matt Stone going very far here. They just don't have the name recognition. If we were giving this to, like, if we made, like...
Gave it to comedians.
Yeah, if we made a rule, like, you gotta give everyone, like, a quiz, like, you gotta pass this quiz in order to vote on comedy, then I think we'd have a good chance, but, like... Plenty of name recognition could take Matt and Trey out.
It could. But I know we were a little bit worried about that for South Park too, because we looked at it and like they might have to go up against SNL. Mm-hmm. I think their second round matchup is going to be like Golden Girls or Boy Meets World, maybe, or maybe there was something else.
You're right.
I think it was Golden Girls.
I think it was, yeah.
And it was just like, these are popular shows for other reasons than South Park, and like a nostalgia shows for people, whereas like South Park's like still running and it doesn't hit those same buttons. I think they'll be fine in the first round. I think they'll be fine in the second round. I don't know who would be a trickier out for them, either Conan or Carlin. I don't think Colbert's. I think they would beat Colbert for sure. Conan or Carlin could be trickier, and I'm not sure which one. And then if they got to the Sweet 16. I don't think anybody necessarily is going to be tougher than Conan or Carlin.
It's fair.
Maybe Pryor. Maybe Hader. Pryor for the name.
Yeah.
Hader for like the young crowd.
Kate McKinnon, though, anyone who's watched SNL in the past 5 to 10 years, like she kind of ran that show for a while. She was the funniest one.
I just don't know other people's thoughts on her necessarily. Every time I bring her up, people are like, oh yeah, she's very funny, and I think people like feel the same way, that she's just hilarious and one of the best cast members, but like I don't know if, I guess that's really all. I'm sure she's been in a couple movies.
Yeah, I think she did
roles.
Movies. Movies are tough for me. I haven't been in tune with like the comedy, like strictly comedy movies that have been released over the past decade. I don't know if there have been that many, but you know, whatever's come out, it's one of those things where it feels like, and I don't know if it was always this way, but it feels like comedy movies are typically directed towards, because like the easiest comedy movies to make are the ones that have been made over and over again. You know, road trip comedies, boy tries to get girl, awkward comedies. And so those movies are, you know, once you've seen them when you're growing up, you kind of grow out of that, because you've seen like the best like road trip movies, or like guy and girl awkward situation, or you know, Superbad is kind of like guys trying to like get chicks, but it's a lot more. It's really, and that's why it's kind of transcended that genre, that like type. But I feel like the comedies that tell those funny stories that you would see for the first time and then you grow out of, well, they know you've grown out of it, so they're casting like young people and they're directing it towards like teens. These are like the movies that like you see when you're like going in, like you're between like your 7th grade and like sophomore year. It's got all of these like young actors that like, we're like, who's this? I'm not gonna see this movie with these people. Who the heck are they? They're like 16-year-olds that are like cool dudes, and like one kind of like Michael Cera looking guy, and then like of course like smoking hot like 17-year-old girls as actors, like just to appeal to like that male demographic.
maybe that's where those movies are, but you might be right. There just might not be that many big comedies anymore.
Yeah.
They're all kind of blended with another genre.
Yeah.
Like the action-adventure comedy, like a Jumanji.
Right, like the action comedy. I guess
The Marvel movies are known for being like quippy and funny, but you wouldn't call them comedies, but they're not serious movies. They have humor, and people like the humor in them for some reason. Yeah. I don't know. There's nothing that's just like, this is a Ace Ventura Pet Detective. Like, what is that? That doesn't exist.
Not an action comedy.
Yeah.
Whew, I gotta pee. Should we
All
wrap it
right,
up?
let's wrap it up.
Cool.
Thank you for watching, sticking around. Thank you for your upcoming votes. Unless you vote against the people we like, then
don't vote.
Then no, thank you.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts for you?
Yeah. We're gonna start the voting on this on Monday. Today we're wrapping up the worst things. It's pedophiles versus drug addiction, and spoiler alert, it's pretty clear which one's gonna win. I'm not gonna say it, but we'll reveal that later in a different video. But I also wanted to say we are moving. This is gonna be our last bracket that we run on Instagram. So we're gonna finish out on Instagram, and then we're gonna be exclusively here on YouTube, on X, Twitter, whatever, and TikTok. If you wanted to keep the TikTok train moving, and then we're gonna kind of narrow our scope a little bit. But that's all I got.